Good afternoon, everyone. Here's the latest severe weather updates from storms developing off to our north and west. Now, earlier today, let me focus on that first. We have one little cluster of storms that tried and is actually continuing to try to form little isolated cells. The latest activity there you can see in Texas County, south and east of Houston, south and west of Houston, rather. There was a severe thunderstorm warning for one of those up there in Camden County briefly. This is forming on the edge of unstable air, but is tending to go into more stable air, and it's having some difficulty holding together. This thunderstorm cluster at one time had 4-inch plus hail with it and strong winds in Kansas City, but it doesn't look like it's a major player. Now, if we turn our attention out to the west, this is where things are really starting to get active. I'll stop the motion, and you'll notice a new severe thunderstorm watch is this yellow outlined area here for a good chunk of central and eastern Kansas. And the storms are getting quite active. In fact, are rotating. That's what these little symbols are here over central and north central Kansas. And a good old-fashioned line of storms is forming here. My thought on this is that this very well may be one of these Boeing segments that develops. And we're going to have to track that very carefully here during the evening hours and see where its main thrust is heading. It seems clear that the watch is well placed. Now also, this area here is pretty unstable as well, and there's an old outflow boundary generally in this area somewhere. And I can show you how unstable the air is. We'll just take a look at this. This is the latest computer model estimate of where the unstable air is. And you can see a lot of it over southwest Missouri. So if anything can form in this area and track this way, it would be going into pretty unstable air. In addition, the jet stream winds are increasing up in this area, coming out of the northwest, kind of punching into this whole thing. So we have what I believe to be a pretty volatile situation here with a thunderstorm cluster developing tonight, which is bound to affect at least part of the Ozarks, with I think the main threat being significant wind. Let's take a look at that threat area, and we can turn this on and off here and use this tool. But for the most part, we're looking at the slight risk of severe weather outlined in yellow here, and then there's a moderate risk of severe weather in this area of orange. And I put the black on here to show where the significant wind threat is. That means significant winds within a 25-mile circle of your town, damaging sustained winds. And so that kind of just barely gets into the western part of Missouri as we kind of zoom in on that a little bit. I can also kind of outline, we'll take the wind threat away and go ahead and overline the tornado 5% area is this white area right here. And so that's another thing that we're kind of watching. I'll label that for you there, tornado 5%. And so, you know, as these storms start to develop, it becomes clear that western Missouri is under the gun at first. I think all of us will get us a line of storms tonight, or at least most of us. Some of us will be right in the path of whatever this thing out over the west of us develops into. So it's something to be watched. There's lots of unstable air. There's an increasing jet stream flow. I think eventually that will congeal into a pretty solid area of storms. It's the main focus of my attention into the evening hours, and I will bring you more updates on this situation here later on this evening as the line gets a little bit more organized and it becomes a little more clear where the main force of that is headed.